Hey, it's me, Joey Only the Caribou Weather Dude, here to remind you that even if spring conditions are upon us, avalanches can still and will happen. This is my forecast for the week of March 20th. Shout out to the Quesnel Observer, thanks for sharing my videos, and I'll try to say something about the weather in Quesnel this week. There's actually a lot of really good weather going on all over Canada. I mean, it's colder than it maybe should be by a touch, but the sunshine's prevailing almost coast to coast until you get to the far east coast. So really nice week ahead of us, everybody. Enjoy it. Just a few squabbles here and there in the weather through the middle of the week, but nothing that's a real story. Do me a favor if you would, and please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow this channel into something that means something and that people pay attention to. Because there's not a lot of weather stories lately. I've just been making videos of all kinds to keep in practice. Do yourself a favor though, do me a favor and check out some of the wide variety of stuff on my channel, such as this one right here above. Alright, let's get into the weather stories. My phone is actually buzzing right now from Frankie McDonald out in Sydney, Nova Scotia. He's looking at some of the only bad weather in Canada, but for the rest of us, I mean, check it out. Public alerts. Well, hardly anything. We got a couple of air quality statements. Okanagan Valley, you got air quality statement in effect. Here's Trusty Wendy, and here's North America for Monday at about 6 a.m. our time. And some of the stories that are going on. The only real bad weather story happening in Atlantic Canada. Newfoundland seeing some powerful, I would call that some wreck house winds will be going on there. High pressure dominating the southern eastern United States. High pressure dominating out in the Atlantic Ocean. Nice block there. Cold, high pressure. You can see the temperature. That high is that cold. Through the center of Canada. Got a little bit of a low in BC, but it's going to skirt southeastward. Mega low country going on. The closer the isobars are, the stronger the wind. And as you can see in this low 956. And of course, in that gap between the Aleutians, Alaska, Russia, there gets to be some very ridiculous storms. I mean, that's storm central. If you want to go and spend some miserable time on Earth, that's a great area to hang out. But as you go and look into BC, things pretty calm starting off on Monday. The overnight temperature is still dropping below freezing for most of the province, and you know, we're sitting on the edge of all this extreme cold air, and some of that still visiting Manitoba and Saskatchewan at times, and we've been just very, very lucky. Really, I mean, we have a bit of weather to talk about this week in BC, but not really. 10 a.m. across Canada, the warmest places are in southern Ontario, western Alberta, into British Columbia, Vancouver Island, up north into the Yukon Territory. Still feeling winter-like across the prairies. That high blocking pattern, it's going to take a little while to break down. I'm not sure what's exactly going to move it. It's kicking cold air still all around the Hudson Bay area. And Tuesday, so you're going to have these air temperature forecast highs, 7, and then what you experience standing in the direct sunlight is going to be different, right? The direct sunlight's quite powerful now at this time of year. You see low developing in the northern plains of the United States. But all in all, that's our story. We're just kind of holding steady on the temperatures, more or less. And maybe it's going to get even a touch cooler into next week. When you look at Saturday, 3 p.m. next week, this weekend coming, this is a nicer week probably this week than they're thinking we're going to have next week. Maybe some of that flash of winter's over. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. No, it's not. So as we start our work week on Monday, where is all that bad weather's going? It's going down into the States. You know, that low is sending it counterclockwise, and it's hitting into, well, it looks like Washington, Oregon, and jumping over the Rockies there into Montana even a little bit, and California. And you see there's definitely some of those long ribbons of moisture sailing around out in the ocean, but none of them are really aiming at BC. Maybe bits of snow in some of the coast mountains on Monday evening and Tuesday morning as that low kind of pushes south, though. Look, it's sending what's going on the low in California getting destroyed again Tuesday at 2 p.m. BC, kind of nice. Williams Lake sitting at a high of 10 degrees late Tuesday afternoon. The western United States is just getting hammered with winter weather and even heavy rain in Arizona expected. 5 a.m. on Wednesday into Colorado, heavy snow there. Perhaps some rain and freezing rain on the flanks. California, another round Wednesday. That low that I was saying would develop, now pushing into northern Ontario and now into eastern Ontario. Could see snow along the Ottawa corridor, BC. Hardly anything to talk about. 6 p.m. on Wednesday, a small bit of moisture. We have this big low up sitting off the coast. That's the one we saw kind of earlier moving across, but it's dragging, it's lashing around, but it's mostly going to be blocked by the coastline, and it seems to be not getting in. Thursday at 8 a.m., Ontario in the middle of a big low going on there into the northern Quebec. Heavy snow expected. Finally, we see Thursday, some weather moving into BC. Thursday, 5 p.m., looks like coast mountains, heavy snow, and in the high elevations, possibly, as the moisture skips across the province and catches the mountains and dumps in places. Up into the Caribous a little bit, all along the coast. That's that dragging from that low pressure we saw, a low developing in central BC. That's going to funnel some of it around. And we see into the evening on Thursday, certain parts of BC, check your local forecasts. Look at that up by Fort St. James. Some heavy snow expected to go on there. So, and into the Peace Country. Wells, we could see a good dump here. Blue River. So, that could be something to look for Thursday into Friday morning. Temperature's still not great. Some places may see rain in low areas. The Rocky Mountain's going to get a good dump up through the glacier ice fields. That line's sitting there with vigor on Friday evening. All in all, I'd say our work week weather, and we mostly enjoy the benefit of some pretty nice weather throughout this week. Next Saturday, the possibility of some very strong, powerful, and maybe even deadly storm activity. So Eastern Canada definitely going to see some of these Colorado lows developing from all this bad weather coming at the coast. It's mostly all going south of us is really, it's a tale of two behaviors. You have this high that's sitting out in the middle of the ocean. It's acting as a real block. So lows are either coming into the south of us or coming into the north of us. And we're not getting, if you even go back to this week, there's that high sitting there, right? We got some lows squeezing in land right now that are going to touch southern BC through Monday, but really they are directing things either up or down away from us. So you see some significantly bad weather through the continent happening this week, and BC getting a lot of a pass, and well, a lot of Canada does. Look at how that high sits. That doesn't change a whole lot through the week. Just look where snow is expected over the next 5 days, right? Eastern Canada getting a good dump some. Northern Labrador coastline getting lots of snow. Some good amounts in the BC coast mountains. Some high amounts up into Alaska. And very high amounts in California mountains once again, where they've been seeing just snowstorm after snowstorm after snowstorm. And where that Colorado low that we were talking about develops, it's going to track across and bring a lot of its anger. Well, look what happens in the next 10 days. We see a widening of that, right? So it's almost like a swath that comes from the California coast area and just works its way across repeatedly. And somewhere in here, we're going to see, if you look at rain accumulation in the next 10 days, all along south of that, and you can see where some of those severe thunderstorms are probably going to start sparking up. So new snow over the next 10 days, knowing that we're going to come into a bit of a week next week that's not as favorable as we've been seeing, and it's been a nice kind of start to spring, but we know that spring's fickle, and we're not sitting in a good pattern right now for warm weather. So when you look at the next 10 days, certainly up through into the Selkirks and Monashees, some big time snow in there, and the Columbias, all those Columbia mountains. A little bit here in the Caribous, not a whole lot through the actual Caribou region. Maybe a bit between Quesnel and Prince George. See some pretty good areas. I was saying how north of Fort St. James, it looked like there's some pretty good snow squalls expected up there. So they're definitely going to see, 18 centimeters of new snow, some predictions. So these aren't crazy new amounts, and certainly it'll settle fast in the sunlight every day. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an overview as to what to expect this week here in the province of BC and across North America at large. So just do me a favor and subscribe, hit like, hit share, help me grow this channel, and Please feel free to look at my inventory of sometimes hilarious, sometimes serious, and of course Frankie McDonald and the Meteorological Report on every week. We got something going on here in this channel, and it's going to grow, and I invite you to be part of it. Thanks for stopping on by. Bye.
Say hi, Joey. Say hi, Joey.
What's up, Joey? What's up?
I'm Frank Down. You're listening to Meteorological Weather Report every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. Joey Only's a really nice guy. He fights fires in Wells, British Columbia. He's a firefighter in Wells, British Columbia. He was coaching the Vancouver Giants of the Western Hockey League. Joey Only is playing the band. I'm on Joey Only Show podcast every Thursday night at 11 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. On the YouTube channel, Caribou Weather Group, Joey Only Show. And Joey Only's a really nice guy. He fights fires in Wells, British Columbia. And I'm on Joey Only Show. It's on CFUR 88.7 FM Prince George and CKUW 95.9 FM in Winnipeg and CFBX 92.5 FM in Kamloops, British Columbia. And I'm on the Joey Only Show, and me is on the Shaw Television, Shaw Spotlight Television. Joey Only's a really nice guy. He fights fires and things like this. Best of luck there. I'm Frank Without. You're listening to Joey Only Show every Thursday nights. Say hi, Joey Only.